Tula, Klin, Moscow, Sergei Posad, traveling through those cities, doing lectures. You know, most of them at universities. And I discovered, you know, short stories there, like Pushkin, stories from Pushkin, and other great stories. I think I've enjoyed every Russian story that I've ever read, except for maybe The Nose.
No.
Have you ever read that?
Yeah.
By Gogol?
I love it.
Do you? I must apologize if I if I insult you, because I thought it was the worst thing ever written. I mean, I thought to myself, how could anybody have ever written that? And then I heard that he burnt a lot of his things that he had written. I thought, well, maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know. But every time I mention The Nose, get the same response. That people are like, no, that's like one of my favorite stories. So obviously, I'm in the wrong there, because I'm the only one who thinks that. But so I started writing short stories. And one of the first short stories that I wrote was actually at Tchaikovsky's estate home in Kyiv. I grew up listening to Tchaikovsky. My dad would take me to see the Nutcracker every year for Christmas. You know, in the United States, you can only watch the Nutcracker during Christmas. You know, I know in Russia you can watch pretty much any time of the year, but in the States we see it as strictly Christmas ballet. That's it. And if you're watching Nutcracker in July, in America, they'll think you're a moron. It's like, what are you talking about? This is for Christmas. You know? So every Christmas I would actually be taken to the Nutcracker, and then and later on as I got older I enjoyed Tchaikovsky and his other works. And also a couple of years ago for the San Jose Ballet, and they're one of the top ballets in the United States. And a couple of years ago they're ranked #1 over New York Ballet in LA. San Jose was the tops, and they originated from the Cleveland Ballet. Well, I was lucky enough to audition. Now when I say that, don't be like, was Dave dancing around? No, I'm not that flexible. So they had me playing a role as the Sultan's servant. So basically they dressed me up in this costume. You know, you really can. And I had to pass certain things to the ballet dancers at certain times. You know, it was all choreographed. But it was such an honor just to be able to be on stage at a major production in the United States for the Nutcracker. It was, for me, you know, a dream come true. You know, you know, unfortunately they still have the Nutcracker, but it's not another director. So when you get another director, they change everything, right? Because they want their own style of the Nutcracker. So I'm not offered the part anymore, but I did it for a couple of years. So basically, I went to Tchaikovsky's estate home, and I was just so inspired, just by being there. And so I carry this little book with me where I like to write things down, you know, just remember things, phone numbers, whatever. I started writing a short story in the back of Tchaikovsky's home on a bench, and I just sat there and was writing this story. And it's a story you can read on my webpage, my website, for free, and it's also in my latest book. I have a few short stories in the back of the book, kind of like a bonus. And the story that I wrote at Tchaikovsky's is called The Mighty Babushka. and it's a story everyone seems to enjoy. And when I was in Russia, I was noticing the babushkas, they're like the police out there. You know what I mean? I mean, it's you know, I walk down the street and they just watch you. And it's like, if your shoe's untied, they'll stop you. You know your shoes are untied. You know, and you're like, so what? Yeah, but if your shoes are untied, you fall and you get on the street, you get run over. You know, and they go in this whole thing. It's like, okay, fine. So, and if they're not doing that, if they're all in a group together on the corner, they're just, you know, so gossiping whoever walks by. So, I wrote the Mighty Babushka, and it takes place in Kyiv, Russia. And I'll